I'm Kameron Atakuru, I'm the head coach of ASW Manchester, and here with me today is one of my fighters, Luke Trevelyan, is my assistant. In today's tutorial I'm going to go over, some would say, an unorthodox approach to attacking the turtle position, or the quarter position as it's known, but it really is an old-fashioned way of manipulating someone's weight, either to turn them over to their back, or to use it as a riding position to be able to strike from or set submissions on. So, if you don't mind, Luke, go to all fours. So, the conventional way, whenever you may very well have gone from a front headlock to the behind position, you sit on this corner, and the instinctive thing, or the thing you get taught very much so from the beginning, is that the harness grip is paramount. That's the way you attack the body from this side. Then you might very well start putting the knee as like a side ride position. You know, if he puts his hands here, and this position looks to grab a leg, you can start putting crucifix positions, or just your basic roll and tilt, and we end up here. But it's really nice to have something else in the bag. You know, whether you've completely mastered this, or it's just something you can throw in to then maybe put hooks in again. Really nice to add. So instead of going for the conventional harness situation, I'm just going to work a basic body, like arms behind. Be careful against good turtle players, you know, the likes of Eduardo Tellez from Turtle Guard. If you dive this in, they start looking for Kimuras, so he grabs that up and reaches up into a double wrist lock. Like, that's obviously something to worry about. But the way we're going to nullify that is working what's known as a barred arm, or in basic terms known as a cross wrist. Okay? But for purist wrestlers, they'll call that a barred arm. So from this waist lock position, my job is to break Luke down in this situation. Okay? He may very well have his head hidden. He's looking to stop all these gaps coming in, so I can't really put my hooks in. Can't look to turn him over. Can't really get any handles. So goes nice and strong on his forearm, just to prove a point. As I go a lasso grip, also a body lock, my key point is that I have the shoulder, my shoulder driving directly down on Luke's shoulder. See, sometimes you see some people doing, especially in class, or when they've seen this before and they try and drill it on their own, they'll have this grip and then they'll drag the shoulder over. So what I mean is, like, I want to drop my weight over that shoulder. As you can see, it starts to collapse, and I hit a cross wrist and drag, then hit into this position, which, as you can see, is great for applying strikes in this situation. Try and get back to your knees again there, Luke. Try and pull guard from me. No. Now, it looks really unorthodox, but the key to this is the fact that I've already tilted him over his left shoulder, so I no longer need the weight on this side. So I use my cleavage section on my chest to cover this shoulder, and that's the weight that stops him being able to push up. If I sit back and relax here, he can just get back up to his knees. Go. So from there, or even start to roll over his left shoulder and pull guard. In that position, you end up losing it, and it's like, sometimes infuriating, because you could have made well, it took you 10 minutes to pass his guard. Okay? So the mistake people make before that tilt happens is that they come over the edge of the shoulder and they end up losing balance themselves, and then they bail and they think, right, I'm not going for that. So the real key thing is right where, is it scapula? That's right. Where his shoulder blade is. On the back there, I want to go right straight down, so it goes down this path to his elbow. So Luke's going to use all the strength he's got to stay stable. And all I'm going to do is count to 10. And I'm going to tilt and drop my left hip, very much like when I'm putting a cross face in inside control. And then drag. He comes up to sit on his elbow. I catch, double wrist or single wrist, and I drag, and then drive my chest over the top. Just in this position, try and move, Luke. Very difficult. But the way I make this even more pressure is I just run the clock and go to 12 o'clock and drop this left hip on the leg. Okay, this is one riding position from this very same position. Okay, try and move, Luke. Okay, possibly I can go to a half mount, which means I'm tucking this right knee in on this side, so if Luke just turns. So instead of being like this, I'm going to tuck that in that position there. Again, don't come off of the shoulder, because you can turn, so keep that weight on there. You can apply strikes, or so forth, or start hitting half Nelsons. Or the other situation from here is that some guys can put a modified lockdown. So again, if it's just submission grappling, I could let go of the cross wrist, and Luke decides to go to his back. So I'll let go of this and I let roll. I could very well start implementing back takes, which is quite fancy. So I probably wouldn't do that. So if you rotate again, Luke. So all we're looking to do is break him down. I go shoulder over the shoulder. He resists, he resists, he resists. I run the clock, tilt, grab this, he comes up to his elbow, drag that cross wrist, and drive with the chest. Come on this side of his legs, and drop that left hip. Now again, if you're looking for the turnover from a purely wrestling perspective, I would apply the half Nelson, past the guard in this situation. This is where it's really uncomfortable. The shoulder over the shoulder. Really not so nice on Luke. If he's here, it's fairly comfortable. If we go past it, it's okay. Potentially into a north-south choke. Potentially into the arm ride, as from before's tutorial. Potentially into the Kimura. And potentially into the head scissor. So you can see it's a great position to be able to set up submissions. And again, more recently in the UFC, I think it was 3 weekends or 2 weekends in a row, Khabib Nurmagomedov used the cross wrist and bar arm very, very efficiently to keep hold of, I think it was Michael Johnson that was fighting. A week later, Gegard Mousasi, as Uriah Hall was trying to go against the fence, caught the cross wrist or the bar arm, dropped his weight, threw a load of shots, and it ended up being a game ender. And if you watch Ryan Bader versus Nogueira, it's just a clinic of very old-fashioned wrestling. So I'll show you again from a different angle. So from this side, rotate this way, please, Luke. So again, I'm sitting on the corner, I'm grabbing this as a body lock. You can see it's behind the arm, and I drop the shoulder on this side. And from here, this is key. That right there, I can't just hold on to the body. I'm telling you right now, that is so much more controlling. But I like to keep the elbow tucked in just to keep it snug. And I don't stay back here because Luke can go to his knees again. So he comes back down again. The key that stops that is my weight distribution over this shoulder now, because this side's covered. Over. Now it looks like you could just pull half guard on me. Go, brother.
No.
Very difficult. And again, you can just pick those shots there. You could go to a modified mount or half mount melee, quarter guard, as you would call it. Or I can go a lockdown, which drives the hips in. As you can uppercut an overhand to a finish, or as I just demonstrated then, to a variety of submissions. Okay, now we're going to use this in an MMA scenario against the cage wall with the same idea. So, again, not to go over a tutorial how to double leg someone against the fence, but I'm starting in left-sided against Luke, making sure I'm level pegging. Drop for the single leg, I drag it to the other leg, come back up, finish with a double. Now in this situation, you know, you've got hold of the legs. There's a few things that you could do to tie up the leg. But let's just go with a scenario whereby you've looked to tie up his upper body. It just so happens he's been able to get to his knees. So I'm looking at trying to keep this. I want to transition to try and pull him out. But as I go to transition there, he turns and goes to his knees. So we're in exactly the same scenario. Okay? If we're out in the open, or if Luke makes a very silly mistake and comes off the fence by even 4, 5, 6 inches, then putting the hooks in and playing exactly the same game is, absolutely, possible. But this is brilliant for when he glues himself to the side of the wall, and I'm now only available to attack one side. So I can't put that far side hook in, can't drag this out, it hasn't even spragged up yet for me to put a hook in. So this is the reason why he's starting here, because this is where people go. They won't sit on all fours if they're looking to stand up. So if he goes all fours, what's the first thing he's looking to do to stand up? His head comes up and he starts going there, gets himself to his feet, puts a whizzer in over the top, and we end up here. So to stop that from happening and keeping it on the ground, I'll just do the same technique. Usually a finish. Try not to get too excited and come off of your opponent with your chest, because that's when he'll get the point to come to his elbows again and you're getting that whole battle. So we go around again. Back to overload, bro. It's absolutely key that I keep my chest over that opposite shoulder. So you could be hitting in this scenario with the hip on, uppercuts and overhands over the top. Drive that weight over the shoulder. You drag, he comes up to his elbow, catch that cross wrist. Now in some situations I would say stay here, but I'm a big fan of going back to 12 o'clock against the wall. So you can use this and drag. Keep the weight on, and throw a numerous amount of shots. And whether they land or not, sometimes the referee might be quite nice and stop it. Thanks for watching our tutorial. For more information on myself or the club, contact us on Facebook on the ASW Manchester page, or for more videos, see Warrior Collective. Thank you.